Demotainment, delivering a demo they'll remember. I actually thought I was being quite clever with the term demotainment. I'm like, oh, wow, that's such a genius thing that I just thought of. Aren't I so smart? And then I found out that somebody came up with that term already in 2009. I found it on the Urban Dictionary, the demonstration of things in an entertaining way. I did not decide to explore the Urban Dictionary any further. There's no telling what I would have found, but I don't think it would have been as safe for viewing as demotainment. As I said, this is going to be slide rich, but not word heavy. I've got a lot of slides to show, but they're all going to look just like this. And what am I doing? What is my theme here? A picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'd rather you look at a picture and listen to me than read. Like it says here, anything you put on that slide, customers will read. I see a lot of presentations where there's just words and words and words. And then people are trying to pick and choose the things they're going to describe from the slide. Whereas the audience is just like they're trying to read and they're focusing on the things they want to focus on. So today you're going to see some themes. I'm going to talk to them, and you are going to see a little bit of demonstration of user testing to reinforce the things that I've been talking about. This is the most word-heavy slide I'm going to show. This is for all those people that really want to be somewhere else right now. So if you want to just get the nutshell version of Demotainment, I'm going to give it to you right up front and then say, yeah, if I haven't won you over already and you want to go somewhere else, get ready to screenshot this, and then you can move it on to one of those other sessions that are over there. I'm sure they're great. Not going to be as good as this one, but they're going to be good. Here we go. Number one, get your energy up. This is something that I'm a big fan of. Anyone in the chat that is one of my coworkers will tell you, I don't drink coffee. I only slept 4 hours last night. I've had no caffeine today, but I'm just raring to go all the time because I love what I do, and I like to show it in my presentations. Number two, be personable, and if you can, personalize your demo. We want to be friendly. People do business with people they like. People do business with people they think like them. And if you personalize your demonstration and you let people know that it's been personalized, they will be more engaged because they might learn something about their business. And that's really important. It's something we really specialize in at User Testing. Tell stories. The more visual, the better. You want people's brains to be engaged and thinking about the things you're doing. When you tell a story, they become active listeners because they're visualizing the events of the story. They're wondering what happens next. Storytelling is a great way to keep people engaged. And of course, that's what entertainment is all about. It's all about storytelling in one way or another. Interact with the audience throughout. Dear Lord, do not kick off a presentation and then 40 minutes later, stop to see if anybody cared or is still there. Interact throughout. Let them know you're paying attention to them. And number five, and the last one, and my most important one, is keep it fun. Nobody wants to sit there and listen to a boring robotic presentation. We can literally read the deck ourselves and get that experience. But keep it fun, keep it interesting, and if you do, people will remember the experience of attending your demo and the way they felt when they were doing it, and that is going to bring them back to you to possibly and hopefully close a deal to use your product. So that's it. I'm going to leave this up. By the way, I'm not going to tell you the names of the movies. If you want, I think it'd be really fun in the chat whenever a new slide comes up. If you know the movie, put the movie in there. Let's keep that chat going. I put these in there just to make it a little more fun, but every one of the pictures does tie in to the theme on the slide. So a little bit about me, the performer. If you look at this, at the intro for this, it said, think like a performer, not like a mechanic. Demo like a performer, not like a mechanic. I come from a family of mechanics. My father, my uncle, my grandfather all worked on various automotive lines, but I always wanted to be an actor. And if you see the picture and you grew up in the 1980s or late 70s, you'll recognize this picture. I don't know if the person looks familiar that's in the picture. If he does, it doesn't mean anything because it's not me. But I did look exactly like Mikey from the Life Zero commercials. People would say it to me all the time. And it did help inspire me at an early age to want to be a performer of some type. Instead of being a performer, which I gave up after college, I basically had a long career in e-commerce, going through 20 plus years at Hertz, where I was in fact a customer of UserTesting. I started my career at Marist College, where I helped build some initial websites in the 90s, did some startup work, worked at Reckitt, which makes Lysol and Finish. If you're ever in a pandemic, work for the company that makes disinfectants. I will tell you that. That is a tip. And then at the very bottom is the Forum Theater. It's a small professional theater in Metuchen, New Jersey, where I did get my start working on stage as a stagehand. I was working till 1 o'clock in the morning, 5 nights a week when I was in 8th grade. But I kept my grades up. My parents let me do it because they knew what I wanted to do as a career. And again, I didn't sleep much then, but it all led to me being a solution consultant at UserTesting. And feel free to scan the QR code. That'll get you to my LinkedIn profile. I fully expect that I'm going to have at least one, maybe one. Can I get one connection request at the end of this? I'll take one. I'd like more, but one is good. Then I'd never done solution consulting before. I was never a pre-sales engineer before. So I took the job because I knew the product. I like to talk, but I needed to get some extra practice. So I came up with this sort of unconventional method of doing practice, which is recording instructional tip videos about my platform, basically demoing to nobody and then publishing it out into the world. Started doing that about 3 years ago, just using a site called Vidyard, a tool called Vidyard. And eventually it was suggested that I, put them on YouTube. So that's when Mic Drop Videos was formed. And, it's not a massive channel. It's more for me and, a small select of rabid enthusiasts. But I have a lot of fun doing it. And it really allows me to showcase my skills without an audience and then open myself up to the inevitable criticisms that come with posting things on YouTube. So again, you can go here and feel free to subscribe to that channel if you want. And you see a lot of, not that everyone is concerned about user testing, and hopefully you'll be interested in user testing, but it's more about the technique and the enthusiasm, the energy, and the way that I deliver the demonstrations of the things that's really going to be aligned to what I'm showing off today. All right, now enough about me. We're into the actual groundwork for a demo. You see here it says, let your character take the stage. And the reason I say that is because you don't have to present. It doesn't have to be you. It can be a character. I was picking my son up from college about a week ago, end of his junior year, and his girlfriend was with him, and we were sitting down having lunch, and she was talking about this final presentation that she'd given with the group. And she had said, I asked her how it went, and she said, yeah, it went really well, but everybody said that, or people said, not everybody, but people said they thought that I seemed bored and a little robotic. And I said, okay, why is that? Why do you think that was? And so she gave me a couple of examples and reasons why she thought maybe she was doing like that. And I said, the real reason is you're doing the presentation as you. You think that you have to act a certain way and, within a certain demeanor when you're carrying on a presentation because that's you. That's the way you think people expect you to act. But what if you take on a persona, like take on a character? And when you do that, it's very freeing that you can be this totally exuberant guy or girl that is doing this demo and talking about this product. I mean, I sure hope that everybody realizes that I don't talk like this all the time. It would be exhausting. But one of the things that inspired me, besides the fact that I have a theater background and a sort of an acting background, was sort of Disney. I'm not sure if everyone is aware that Disney refers to all of its employees as cast members. So somebody who's working at a cash register in a retail store in Disney World is considered a cast member because that person is playing the role of someone in the happiest place on earth, trying to make sure that every child they see is having the greatest experience of their entire life. Just like someone who goes on stage is playing a role of a character that is having some experiences that is very different perhaps from their own life. When you're in a Broadway show and you just had the worst day ever, when you go on stage, you don't bring that on stage with you. You let that go and you embody your character and your character's emotions and your character's feelings. And that's what we need to do when we're demoing. We can let our own baggage go, drop it off when we start the demo, and we become the character of the presenter. And, if you want to have some fun with it, you can name your presenter. You give it a real character name, but you can be somebody else when you're presenting. Don't feel constrained by being yourself. Then it comes to actually getting into the demonstration or getting into the conversation with the customer, getting them ready to receive the information you're going to give in the demo. Make a connection with the customer. Do we just become best friends? Absolutely. Making sure the customer sees you as someone they want to be on a call with is really important. And so as soon as that call starts, we want to make sure that we're engaging in little ways. a lot of times if the sales team gets on early, maybe it's the solution consultant and the rep and maybe even a CSM, they get on the call and we're having a conversation. As soon as that prospect joins, the first prospect gets in there, loop them into the conversation, say, hey, we were just talking about this thing that was on TV or this thing that was happening, this event, this concert. Have you been to any concerts recently? Make them feel like they're part of the group right away, because that's very, very powerful when someone feels welcomed into not just a conversation with one person, but into a group conversation, and they instantly can sort of get going with that. I was on a call with someone once at Anheuser-Busch, and he was in the St. Louis area, and he came on, and in his background, he happened to have, now again, I don't know if everyone will get the reference, but he had this little stuffed pit bull on his shelf behind him. And I said to him, I was like, hey, is that by any chance a stuffed Spuds MacKenzie that is up there? Spuds MacKenzie was the spokes dog for Anheuser-Busch products in the late 80s and maybe even the early 90s. And he said, it actually is. And I happened to mention, I said, my uncle used to work on commercials. I remember he had a Polaroid once of himself with Spuds MacKenzie. And we had a little chat about that. And it just got the conversation going in a more natural way that said to the customer, yeah, I actually am somebody like you, in quotes, that I know the similar things that you know about. And I've got experiences maybe that you have. So make that connection so that they're ready to actually engage with you. Then we go into something called the mantra. Now, I'm going to give credit on 2 slides to companies that helped train me as a solution consultant and to understand the sales world. I never did sales before 3 years ago. I never was in the pre-sales world until that time. And I got this great training from this company called Force Management. This guy named Patrick McLaughlin was my trainer. I still remember. And he taught me this thing called the mantra. And it is where you basically repeat back to your customer the things that you learned in your discovery sessions. Hey, this is your current state. This is your pain points. This is where you'd like to go. And these are the benefits you're going to get when you go there. And hey, this is how we do it. And actually, this is how we do it better than everybody else. So having a good mantra to open up with tells them not only are they somebody that, again, I enjoy talking to, but they're someone who listens to me. They're someone who listens. And again, I mentioned the personalization aspect. They let me know that this demonstration is going to be personalized based on the things that I have talked about in the past calls. They weren't just a waste of time, and this person was listening to me. And so we can actually take this forward. Then you're going to set the rules. You've let them know you've been listening. We've talked the small talk. Now you set the rules for the demo. Now we kind of did this already. This is where that little thing that I mentioned about the 4 kids and everything, that's a bit of a routine. I do that all the time. I make sure that I tell people, this is how I want things to go. I want people to call out. If I can't see you, I want you to call out and just break things up. Let's make it interactive. Unfortunately, I cannot see all of you and I cannot see your chats. So we are going to do a little bit more interaction at the end, but that gives me an even harder job today of keeping you engaged without the ability to see your faces and do some of the other techniques that I'm still going to talk about, but I can't do. So this one, again, just lay the groundwork for how you want your demo to go and welcome them. Let them know it's okay to participate. In an engaged customer, a person who is being involved in the demo is going to walk away much more invested in your solutions. Now, here's the second one. And actually, I don't know if anybody else was with me on the 2-win session earlier about building your personal brand, but I did the demo to win training with this organization. And I also learned something really, really important, which is the tell, show, tell technique. And I say here, use the tell, show, tell technique to build suspense. We're talking about storytelling and getting people engaged, giving them a teaser for what's about to come. So you might say something like, in this case, I'm going to use a Kentucky Fried Chicken story where I say, okay, again, these are all stories, things that I just ran. At UserTesting, I can run studies on anything. I can get feedback on anything. So this is I'm not revealing any customer information, just being clear about that. These are just work that I did on my own to test capabilities of my own platform. So I would say, I might say to someone, hey, so in preparation for this demo, what I did was I went out and I did a study asking 5 people in the London area that live near a Kentucky Fried Chicken to go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and actually use the kiosk in the restaurant to try to order a meal. And something really interesting happened. And I'm curious when we get to that, if you're going to think that is as interesting as I did. So what I'm doing there is, again, personalized, but 2, I'm building in some suspense. I'm letting you know something is coming that's really relevant to you that sort of shocked me, and will it shock you as well? So that is a little bit of building tension. Also, the tell, show, tell method is used just in straight demos. When you are, you tell them, hey, I'm about to show you the output that you're going to get from a user testing research study. I didn't tell everyone in the group here. I know a lot of coworkers are on here as well. User testing is a customer feedback platform that we allow you to use to see the world, see your customer experience through the eyes of your customer. It's a video-based platform where people record what's called think out loud testing. As they're completing an activity, whether online, offline, on desktop or mobile phone, they are talking about what they're thinking as they go through it. So that's really what user testing is, and that's kind of relevant as we go through the rest of the platform. But always do the tell, show, tell. And when you're in the tell phase, this is something I cannot do here, again, because I can't see you, but make sure you get accustomed to stopping the screen share. Stop the screen share when you are talking and there's nothing relevant on the screen. If there's a discussion, a question, immediately stop the screen share so that the person asking the question knows and feels your engagement with them. They want to know that you're actually listening and not just waiting to move on to the next slide. And stopping the screen share is the best way to let them know you have my full attention and I want to answer your question. So tell, then we show them the thing, then we get back to tell them again what we just showed them. So it's a three-step cycle. Very, very powerful. If there's any folks here from the 2Win team, I'm going to suspect that there's not, but why not? I was at theirs. But it was very powerful training. And if you're looking for some training, I highly recommend the 2Win, the Demo to Win training. Moving on. Now that we've set the stage, we're going to get started with our demo, our actual demo. And there are some very specific steps that we're going to go through to make sure that people can consume the information as easy as possible. This is one of my favorite things to do, which is begin at the end. I'm not going to tell you what this movie is, but if anyone's seen Pulp Fiction, it kind of popularized the idea of starting at the end of the movie, and then you kind of see where it goes and what led to that ending. But beginning at the end, what I mean by that in a demo concept is you have the opportunity to start at the beginning and show them, all right, this is how you build a research study. This is what user testing is. Here's how you do it. Here's the mechanics of it. And if you do all that and you get the feedback, and then here's the output, and you could show that. But that's an uphill battle to keep people's attention because they have no idea what the payoff's going to be. They don't know if they care at all to watch how to build this thing or how to actually go through and learn each of the little nuances. So we start with the end. We give them the thing that they are going to value as a customer. So in my case, I show them the output of the research. I say that study with Kentucky Fried Chicken, here you go. Here's the output. Here's some of the data and little comments that I got from people. Take a look at this. Now we're going to go through the nitty gritty of what this looks like and what you can do and the value you can get from this output. So I'm driving with the value generation, the value creation. It is much more important that the customer, the prospect, sees value immediately, because that is going to keep them interested, going like, okay, well, that was really interesting. How can I get that? Could I do that? Am I capable of this? You're an expert. Probably it's easier for you than for me. Those kinds of questions will start coming, but starting with the end is the key so that they know what to get. It's almost like when you look at a recipe, right? When you look at a recipe in a book or online, they don't show you a picture of the ingredients at the top. They show you a picture of the finished product. This is what it's going to look like. This is what your food is going to look like. Now go down and I'll show you how to do it. And so that is exactly what's at play here. Now that we said we're going to what the output and the value is going to be, we have to let them know how to connect the output to something that they maybe already understand. So align with well-known schemas. Now this movie, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, hopefully people have already gotten it in the chat. The way this movie was sold is a very famous story in that they didn't go and describe the plot of this movie. They didn't go and describe the characters. They didn't really talk anything about it. All they went into the movie studios with was they said, this is Die Hard on a bus. That's what this movie is. And Die Hard was such a popular movie that everybody knew, especially in the movie industry, that it immediately attached itself to that and then just changed the setting, changed one little nuance. So for me, I actually start with a schema that most of my customers will know. And I'm going to do this live for everybody in just a minute, but think of how powerful that is by aligning to something people already know, so they can immediately, the brain works very effectively to do that. Whenever we see things, we try to connect it to patterns or something that we're aware of already, so that we can say, all right, is that something I can understand or that I know or what have you? There's a really great book that talks about this. I didn't put it on the screen here, but Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath is a fantastic read. They talk all about schema alignment in that book, as well as many other things. But one of the more impactful books that I've ever read in terms of understanding how to pitch an idea. Actually, the subtitle for that book, I don't think they changed it. It's Why Some Ideas Thrive and Others Die. And it's just a really great way to understand things like visual persuasion and schema alignment. Okay, once we've got them attached to the idea through a schema, then it's time to move them into your product. But you cannot just show them everything at once. You have to carefully construct a way to baby step them through the product so they can digest a little tiny piece at a time. Because, all right, now they understood the schema, they understood Die Hard on a Bus. Now we're going to add in this other little step. And then, okay, you understand that one? Of course you do. Now we're going to add this other little tiny little thing. And each little thing is a very carefully constructed build on the thing before it to ensure that we're not losing anybody. But of course, we always want to keep checking back in and interacting with our audience to make sure that we're not losing them. And if I could see your faces, I would be able to see whether people are squinting or furrowed brows or anything like that. And I would know, I have some sense of whether or not you were getting it. Influencing how your audience feels, just like a Jedi, is not only possible, it is extremely easy to do. As you're doing these baby steps and taking people through your experience, you should be priming them for a good experience. If you're not familiar with the term priming, it is basically when you say something or show something before saying something or showing something else that influences the way that people feel about it. So I'll give you an example. And again, this is going to come through when I do my little demo. When you're about to show something, you say, all right, enough with all that boring stuff. Now I'm going to get to the great stuff, right? By doing that, one, I kind of, a little self-deprecating. I said everything I just told you was boring, even though I know it wasn't. But I make it seem boring by comparison to what I'm about to show. And I say, this is going to be really exciting. Now, when they're looking at it, yes, there is, to some extent, they may be skeptical and be like, all right, well, I didn't think that was exciting. But you're priming them to think it's exciting. And when I back that up with my tone, my inflection, my energy level, it's hard to not feel that it is in fact exciting. So we're going to do that. We're also going to use very carefully chosen adjectives. When we use adjectives before we show something, again, it influences how they feel. Like, all right, the other stuff I showed you was great, but this is the cherry on top of my experience. You are going to love this. This is going to make your life so much easier. And then you show it. It is a very powerful way to influence your audience to see your product the way that you see it and the way that you want them to see it. Very, very powerful way to get your audience on board with you. With that, we are now going to switch into the demo of the demo. I am going to show you user testing and how I use these techniques. All right. So what you're looking at is the output of a demo that I built on the Hertz website. Obviously, I worked at Hertz for 22 years. I basically built the original Hertz.com back in the late 90s. And I was involved with virtually everything in every aspect of e-commerce. So I love using them as my guinea pig because I know so much about it. This particular task, you can see right here, was this task. Take as much time as you need to find the promotion that saves you the most money on a rental in Orlando next weekend for the car of your choice. Now, what I do is I say to everybody in the audience, I go, all right, because mostly I'm dealing with product people or research people or designers. I say, all right, anyone in the audience, please raise your hand if you, and please follow along in the chat. I know I've got some really smart people in the chat here. So please raise your hand if you've ever used a tool like Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, something like that. And inevitably, one or two people raise their hand. I go, perfect, perfect. So you're familiar with a path analysis or a unique path flow report? Yes, I get some nods. Yes, they are. Now I've established the schema and I go, all right, this is exactly that. But what we do is we take it a step further with user testing, and we don't just show you the page names, we show you the whole experience. So watch this. When I go down through the individuals, I can see what their unique paths were. And if I hover over one of their little vertical lines, those vertical lines represent the pages in the experience. The pages, the longer the line, the more people that are highlighted, the more people have actually seen the page. This is live. This is taken while they were using the experience. And just a reminder, there is no code whatsoever required to see this. This is all done naturally, automatically with the user testing browser extension. So nothing extra for you to do. This is out of the box, super easy. And by the way, you can get this not just for your website, but for your competitors' websites too. So that is great. As I scroll down, I can see if there's any outliers here, because yes, this can be a lot to consume, but what we're really looking for is, did anybody take longer than everybody else? What is the unique thing I can focus in on? So I'm going to go and click on, I'm just going to click on B-Lady96 here. So I'll click on that. And what you're going to see is, I'm just going to refresh my screen real quick. And what you're going to see when I click on that, the individual user is, you're going to see their specific screenshots for their entire experience. And it is going to, there it is, sorry. And you're going to see the entire thumbnail view of her journey as she went through the whole thing. So we've got all these pages, her exact, we haven't even looked at a second of video yet. We can see what's going on. Now you're probably asking, what are those little blue dots? Well, those little blue dots, a lot of people like to focus on the first click analysis on a page. We like to focus on the last click analysis because we're talking about a journey, right? That's why you know what a path analysis is, because you're looking at how they went from page to page. But when we're looking at outliers, we want to know, well, how did they end up on that page? This blue dot represents the last click that drove them from step 1 to step 2, and so on and so on. You'll also notice that it says 11 interactions. Watch what happens when I hover over the thumbnail. Again, this is all out of the box. You see the experience is animating right in front of us. It's showing everything that person interacted with in sequence. If I expand all, I can actually see the individual interactions, like, hey, they input Orlando, then they clicked on that. They clicked accept cookies. They scroll down. They click select for reservation. You can see everything that they're doing in the process. So just like your path analysis, but taking it a far leap forward. You're probably asking, what's this? What's this little bit here? That is our automatic friction detection. If there was friction in the experience, it might have been the website or application, but it might have been the individual. All I have to do is click on this and look at this. I've got one person who's having a little bit of friction and they experience it up here by the Hertz logo. I can play this clip and go and watch what that friction is. Really, really very easy. So now we've got that. We've got our friction detection. We've got our path analysis here, our interactive path flow report with all the depth of everything everybody did. But check this out. If you thought that's cool, this is going to blow your mind. So sentiment analysis on your customer journey. How did people feel as they went through this website? And I can see here, those pages are still here, but now they have markers on them for positive or negative experiences. So if I just click on this, I can see B-Lady96. She was on this page, had this modal window pop up. And here we go. Okay, well, that's not what I want. Okay, I'm going to accept the cookies. So we can see the transcript right there of exactly what was going on. But it gets even better if you can imagine it, because what is the point of research if we can't share it with the people that it's relevant to? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just play this clip. It is going to take me right into my experience and show me my transcript. Here's all my sentiment analysis along my video. When I hit play, it takes me right to that key moment. What's on the screen? All I have to do is highlight this text, say make a clip, hashtag it, dislike. We're all familiar with hashtags, right? Say it was negative and save my clip. Now, when I go back to the top, I can switch to my notes and clips, pick any clip right here and just say share it. Anyone on the account can view the clip, or anyone with the link can view the clip. If I don't want people to have access to user testing, anybody can see it. So I can just copy the link, or, we've got Slack and Trello and Teams integrations. We can do that. But I just copy the link. Boom. I share that out. and they are instantly looking at a video of a customer having a problem on a website. Nothing will generate more support for the work that you want to do than showing the stakeholders videos of your customer. And then just two last things here. I know we're going through a lot of things here, but look at this. We've got one more view, the intent view. This is a combination of AI and manual intervention that you're seeing on the screen here. Anything that's lowercase is automatically done by UserTesting. We've tried to apply an intent label from anywhere of 100 general interaction terms, things like browse or accept cookies. Anywhere it's capitalized, you can see I just went here and said, edit the label. I just typed in anything I wanted, browse the deals, select the location, whatever it is. When you're done, spend about 3 to 5 minutes editing this. You will have a beautiful visualization that you can just cut and paste that right into a report, show people what it's like to be your customer. And by the way, you should be incorporating those video clips into the experience. Last but not least, into your presentation. Last but not least is this brand new feature. This is one of our newest things. This is AI task summaries. We automatically analyze all the transcripts and video with AI so that you can see things like this. Again, we haven't even looked at the video yet, that one little clip withstanding. One contributor found a promotion for getting 1 free day when going electric and successfully booked a car with the promotion. How awesome and detailed is that? That is a level of detail you simply couldn't get. When I was a customer, we didn't have transcripts. So this is, if we were in the Flintstones car before, we are flying the Millennium Falcon at hyperspeed right now. So this is really remarkable. All this stuff is here, super easy to do. Okay, now that was the demo of the platform UserTesting. You can see hopefully how I took some of the examples, the baby steps, how I baby stepped through everything. I used the schema model. I tried to align it to things that they knew. And then I basically kept reassuring them, yes, you know what this is because you're super smart people. I'm telling them, yes, you guys are the experts and I'm showing this stuff to you. So I'm making them feel good about themselves as we're going through the demo, and I'm making sure the demo is an easily digestible, but yes, Memento. Now I can see the chat. Memento, speed, people are getting it. Memento. I used to have a copy of Memento for myself, and I had a separate copy that I would lend out to people because I didn't want them to have my actual copy. I think it's one of the greatest movies. All right. Is this so far? We're going to do a little, I want to see in the chat. So far, just have you heard anything that is going to help you in a demo going forward? Just this, I normally say don't ask yes or no questions, but have you heard anything that you, okay, yes, we got one yes, 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 absolutely, all caps. I will take that, John. Jessica Adams, yes, we're getting a lot of yeses. Okay, now there's still more to come, but if somebody wants to name one thing that I said, maybe that stands out as something that you're going to try in your next demo. What is one thing that I said that you might try in your next demo? Stopping screen sharing. I love that. Adjectives. Yes. Exciting. Love it. I should be using more adjectives as I answer. Stop sharing, go on camera. I will say, Robert, that was one of the most effective things for me. And it is such a powerful thing. And it's such a powerful thing to learn, to stop sharing your camera. And when people don't do it, you know, a lot of us are in the business of doing demos. And when we watch a demo and people don't do the things that we do, I know we all tend to go, oh man, I just want to tell them, I want to tell that person to stop doing that thing or to change it. But you kind of sit back and you go, okay, yeah, create suspense. Yeah. So we want to do that thing. So, right. So with that, I'm going to get back into the sort of the second part of once the demo's over and we're winding down at the end and we're trying to keep that engagement up, what do we do? So I'm going to share my screen again. I love the engagement. You guys are awesome. I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to jump back over to the PowerPoint here, and we're going to get back into presentation mode, and we're going to move past the demo. So I just asked you a yes or no question, but I said don't do that, right? Why do we not ask yes or no questions? Because they're very easy to ignore. They don't promote engagement. Something else from force management that I learned was the concept of what we call TED questions. Tell me, explain for me, describe for me. And after I asked you the yes or no question, you'll notice I went into a question that was more specific. It was more, tell me something you might use in your next demo, something you learned. Give me a specific. Are you retaining anything from this presentation that I'm giving? So this particular film that's on the screen here, getting in-depth conversation going, getting in-depth questioning going is extraordinarily important in this film, and it is a great one. All right. Now, I demonstrated this, and I don't know if anybody actually will get it, but hopefully you didn't. Expect the unexpected problem. Murphy's Law of Demos. We all know it's going to go down sometimes in our demo. Either we're going to lose connectivity, or something that we're trying to demo went down, or the thing didn't compile right. Something is going to happen that we didn't want to happen. But this quote, I love this quote. Whatever happens, you have to look like it's exactly what you knew was going to happen. Now, I am going to stop sharing for this again, because I want to see what people think about something that happened in the demo that I was giving. Stop sharing. Please write in the chat if there was, okay. But why did I refresh the screen? That's right. But was there anything that happened that you noticed why I refreshed the screen? Did I give any indication of why I was refreshing the screen? Okay, no, but refreshing the screen is correct. I did not acknowledge the fact that when I have a lot of things open and I'm prepping a lot, sometimes my connection will go off. Didn't freeze, but when I opened up that customer journey, the thumbnails were all broken because I had to refresh the screen because I'd had a lot of things prepping for this. It was open for a long time. So I just kind of figured out that there was some little bit of filler I needed to do. I didn't acknowledge it. I just refreshed the screen, and I didn't even mind saying, I'm just going to refresh the screen real quick to show you this. And you just keep going like it's exactly what you thought was going to happen. So be ready. As you get more experience doing your demos, you will actually have regular things. You'll know where the possibilities are of the failure, the points of failure, where they might be. So you can be ready with something that you're going to come back with. Now, Teresa, I don't know if you want to make yourself known in the chat. Teresa, I forget your last name, begins with a J. She is someone that reached out to me just before this presentation on LinkedIn, and she said, she just sent me a connection request, and I happen to see that her profile says she's from Harare, Zimbabwe. And I said, oh my gosh, I used to live in Zimbabwe. Is that why you reached out to me? And actually, she didn't know that. It was just a coincidence. But I was telling Josh beforehand, when I was a teenager, I was a foreign exchange student in 1991, 1992, living in Kigoma, Zimbabwe, which is a small town in the middle of the country, one traffic light. Everyone goes to a drive-in or the theater club or the sports club. It was very 1950s. But the school that I attended actually had a little after-school exercise on improv. And learning how to improv was so powerful for this specific situation. When something doesn't go right, or you get an objection, or something, someone acts like they don't care, being able to use some improv skills to roll with the punches, act like it's exactly what you thought was supposed to happen, and just keep going as if everything is perfect. That is what you should be doing here. Observe and react to the crowd. I talked about this before. When we can see people, we want to let them know we can see them. One of my favorite things to do is when I see somebody yawn, we've all had just so you can all see and feel, a little camaraderie, just put yes or no in the chat if you've ever seen someone yawn during a demo. When someone yawns during a demo, though, I use as an opportunity to engage. And I'll say like, Irina, I know I saw Irina's in the chat, one of my coworkers. Irina, I'm clearly putting Irina to sleep. My gosh, I guess I better work harder. Hopefully everyone who's not on camera is not sleeping right now, and I've got your attention. And what will inevitably happen, this literally happened this morning. I was on an internal call and I did this. And the person 98 times out of 100 will smile, laugh, sort of shocked. But what's happening is they're getting a burst of adrenaline really quickly because you called on them and you pointed out that they're yawning. But then you immediately pivot and go, I'm just kidding. It's fine. It's the end of the day. I get it. And, we're just having fun. Hopefully, it's great. And it just gets everybody. And then you go, oh, yeah. And by the way, Josh, you better be ready because I'm calling on you next. Now, Josh is like, wait a minute. Is he going to call on me? I better be ready. So you just kind of get everybody a little bit, again, building that suspense. Hey, he might just call on me. Going back to that slide with Schwarzenegger at the beginning, I refer to this as sort of like the teacher method or the kindergarten method where, hey, if no one asks me questions, I'm going to call on you. So be ready. Reward participation to encourage more. People are afraid to ask questions and participate. They don't want to seem dumb. So when they do ask a question, we got to act like they are still super smart and give them a little bit of a reward for participating. And this is an anecdote that I use all the time. Feel free to steal it if you want. When someone asks me a question for which I already know I've got a great transition to show that thing, I always say, Actually, you know what? That was a perfect question, Robert. If I was a magician, you would be what would be known as the plant. You're the person that I put in the audience to ask me the perfect question, hand me the broken watch when I need it, when I ask for it. You're going to come up on stage and do the thing exactly that I need to be done. So thank you for that question, and I'm going to show you the answer to that right now as part of my demo. Now, when you do that, you've totally diffused any possible anxiety they had about doing the demo, about asking the question, and they feel great. Like, oh my gosh, I'm part of the show now. I'm part of the demotainment exercise here. So reward that participation and you will get more of it. Then we're done with the demo. We're done with the questions. We've shown them the output. Now they've seen it. Now it's time to show them how it's done because they want it. They want that research. They want to see, how do I get that view of my customers, my competition's website? How can I see what their customers are doing? So now you've got them hooked in and they want to see, how is that sauce made? And so now you can actually show them and they're engaged. And when you take them through that, use the same techniques we talked about before, baby steps, schemas, and make sure that they feel like they're capable of doing it. Now you're into the wrap up. As we're wrapping up, I got about 3 minutes left before we get into the Q&A. We're wrapping up here. Ask the customer to visualize their future with your product. This is a very specific thing that you should very specifically do. I mean, very specifically. So at the end, you will say, I saw Lena, one of my coworkers is in the audience. I'll say, Lena, so now that you've seen this, is that something that you can see yourself doing? And yes, it's a yes or no question, but it's different because it's a visualization question. And Lena will go, yeah, I can see myself doing that. And then I'll go, okay, what is the first thing that you would want to get feedback on? Would it be something on your site, a specific feature, or would it be about your competition? And she might go, actually, first, we probably will do our own site. And I would want to test this specific feature. What I've done now is I've created a situation where Lena is actually seeing herself completing one of her business needs with my product. She can actually see it, and now it's part of her visualization, and she's vocalized it. So everybody else that's part of her team can see where they should be using the product, in this case, UserTesting. And if you want, you can ask a second person to drill in on a different part. So you can say, okay, now, again, Josh, the build part, you saw the first part. You probably thought, oh, Mike, you're an expert. You could probably do that easily. But now that I showed you the templates and how simple it is to get started with these fill in the blanks capabilities, do you think you'd have any trouble doing that? And then Josh might go, yeah, no, that seems super easy. I could totally do that. So we're building support for the ability to get this all done. And then at the end, we basically, what we're going to do is we're just going to wrap it up, say, thanks so much for your time, which I'm actually going to do right now as we're getting into the Q&A portion. I'm going to say, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to see the chat in 2 seconds. I'm going to ask you a question. I hope you put it in the chat. You know, this is really fun for me. I hope everybody can see that. Again, my energy gets up when I'm showing someone something that I care about, that I think can benefit them. So I love the business that we're in about pre-sales and solution consulting and really getting to share everything. So this is a tremendous fun for me. It was a huge honor to present to you guys at Demo Fest, have you hang in there with me at the end of day one. And I'm going to stop sharing now just so we can do a little bit of Q&A, and hopefully I'll see a bunch of resounding similar things in the chat. So